Hi, I'm Ray and this is Gardening Online, and today we're in the polytunnel. It's May the 5th and it's a bit of a showery day today, but it's time to get some tomatoes into the polytunnel. But we bought some eggs and we're going to plant some eggs. So let me show you what we're going to do. So this is the area we got allocated in the polytunnel for our tomatoes. And if you've seen my previous videos, in the last 2 years we've grown over 100 tomato plants. So this year I've been told we don't need that many tomato plants, so I'm cutting it right down to just a few. But it'll be hard because I do like growing tomatoes. But we brought a couple of tomato plants down, and these are Gardener's Delight, and we're going to plant them into the polytunnel. And I'm going to plant them side by side in this section here, and we're going to be using the halos. These halos were on my plot when I first originally came, and I used them last year, and they've been slightly adapted. I've drilled out the holes, the drainage holes, slightly wider, and it allows more water to get through. And I've also drilled a hole on the very edge of the halo, and this enables me to attach a string to the halo and attach it to the top of the polytunnel. So that's a couple of additions that I've made, but these have lasted me 2 years, and I don't know how many years they've had before I started using them. If you don't have halos, you can actually use an old flower pot, and this one we've cut a hole in the bottom, and it just enables the plant to go a bit deeper into the soil. So when I've run out of halos, we can use the flower pots, and we can also use these for cucumbers, as cucumbers don't like the stems being wet. You can plant cucumbers in these and water around the outsides, and then the stems don't get wet. So let me show you what we're going to do. So I've just got some normal compost, and I've just got some plant and vegetable food, and I'm just going to scatter a bit of this into the compost just to give it a bit of nutrients, and this is going to go direct into the halos, and this will help get the plants going. So I'm just going to put some of this into my bucket, and we can take it to the planting area. So this is where I'm going to plant my first 2 Gardener's Delight tomatoes, and the ideal spacing between plants is around 18 to 24 inches. So I've gone in the middle and around 20, and it gives me a bit of access to reach the plants this side and that side. Last year my beds were narrow and I did one across the back, but we widened the paths, the beds this year, so we've got wider beds. So this is where they're going to go, and first of all I'm just going to give the soil underneath a good old soak. And this is quite dry in this tunnel, so I will just mark where they're going to go, and I've got an old label, so that's where they're going to go. And I did say we're going to plant some eggs, so we brought some eggs down to the plot, and we're going to plant these. So So what I'm going to do is just going to make a slight dentation in the hole where they're going to go. And we're going to plant an egg. 1, 2. And what the egg's going to do, it's going to give the soil some calcium. And to save the egg remaining, we are just going to give it a little bit of a tap, just to give it a bit of a crack, and that will keep it going. So then the halo is going to go on top, and we push it in slightly down. There we go. And checking the measurements, it's around 20, 21, and that's where our tomato plants are going to go. So this is the tomato, and we're going to plant these, so we're going to plant them as deep as we can. So we're just going to take off the lower leaves, and we're going to plant it deep as possible into the pot. And then with our compost that we've made, trying not to fill up the trough, as it's quite difficult not to. So we're filling up the roots as deep as we can, because the tomato plants will send out roots from the stem, so the deeper it goes, the more roots and the more stability the tomato plant will get. You could even plant the plant sideways and let it sprout up, and that will also grow quite well. So we don't use these holes in the halo for at least 2 weeks, until the roots have established. So we make sure this is all empty, because it's going to block up the holes. And then all we're going to do is just water in the top of the halo for the next 2 weeks, and then we can start watering from below. So we need to get our second plant, and we're going to do exactly the same. While we're looking at the plant, we're taking away the suckers, the little leaves that come out the armpits. We're removing those as we go. So I'm going to remove the lower leaves, and we're going to plant it this deep. As you can see, all the hairy roots coming out the stem. So that's looking really good. So that's looking a bit wilty, as it's not been, well, it's still quite damp. It's looking a bit wilty as it's been in the tunnel, and it's really hot in here. So that's going to go into the bed as deep as we can, and then we're filling this one up with the compost. These can be grown on top of a grow bag, but the grow bags do dry out quite a lot, so it needs a lot of watering. But the halos can just sit on top of a grow bag, and that would work too, and it does need some height. So we'll look forward to seeing what these grow like in the polytunnel. It's certainly warm enough today, although we've got showers it's still quite hot in this tunnel. So that's the first 2 of the tomatoes to be planted on. There we go. Unfortunately, I managed to snap my only money maker, which is a shame, but we'll still grow it on. I'll just let the runners take over and remove the top. So, thank you for watching. And have you planted your tomatoes out yet? And what varieties have you grown? And have you used eggs before? And let me know in the comments if you have. That'd be really interesting. So, looking forward to watching these grow. Yeah, so I'm glad we got our tomatoes in. Now the sun's come back out again, so I'm going back outside because it's very warm in here. So thank you very much. Cheers.